Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack. Unfortunately, Rick couldn't join us today. He was sick, so he will be back for next week's choice. But this week, we're going to be talking about Witch Hunter Robin, which was a recommendation from Jeb. Thank you for the recommendation, Jeb. But before we get into that, if you want to hear the pre-show that usually comes out with most shows, or hear an ad-free version of the podcast, no inserts, including this in every single one, you can go to patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast, $1 a month to get access to the bonus content. Plus, sometimes these episodes actually come out early for patrons. So if you want to get to hear these episodes a little early, patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast. Of course, you also have our affiliate links for Crunchyroll. Get yourself a free trial, or even get yourself some discounted merch off of their store. And of course, before we dive into this week's choice, Tokyo Treat would like to invite you to experience Japan from the comfort of your own home through their snack boxes. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself, Jack. What is Tokyo Treats? Well, you know what? Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive monthly snack box that is jam-packed full of Japan's craziest and coolest treats. And not only do you get a rare Kit Kat flavor every single month, you also get some limited edition chips, noodles, and a whole slew of amazing and tasty treats straight from Japan delivered right to your front door. So you don't have to worry about getting plane tickets, flying out there, or anything else. You get some nice treats delivered right to you. But that's not all that comes in each box. In addition to some of the most delectable treats that you'll ever have, it also comes with a cultural guide booklet. And that booklet is loaded with information, not only about Japan, but the snacks as well. So while you're eating those snacks and you're learning about the snacks that you're eating, you also can make sure that you're looking at some pretty important and relevant information. And I don't mean the snack descriptions. No, I'm talking about some really important stuff, namely the allergy information. And that's because you want to make sure that you're not eating something that you shouldn't be eating, because that is not a fun time for anyone. Plus, you also get to learn about the theme along with the snack information in Japan itself, but you learn about that theme. And that's right. I mean, every box has a theme. And this month's theme is Konbini Snackin', which will give you a chance to experience Japan's amazing convenience stores that are packed with konbini treats and easy to eat treats. So bite into the best of Japan's famous konbinis right from your own home. Now, some of my favorite treats this month are the matcha chocolate Kit Kats, the butter soy sauce potato sticks, which were truly delicious, the Earl Grey cake, and the oh so delicious mini melon pan biscuits. Oh my goodness, those were so good. I'm just salivating just thinking about those. I wish I honestly had a lot more of those treats because they were just so good, so delicious. Now, if you're trying to figure out what to get someone and you're not sure what to get them, or if you're wanting to try something new and exciting and get some nice, delicious treats in the process, then, get yourself a little slice of Japan sent right to your front doorstep. And special for our listeners, if you use coupon code Featured Anime at checkout, along with our affiliate link that is in the show notes for you, you get $5 off that very first box. And again, the treats are truly worth it. They are very delicious, and I honestly can't wait to get my box every single month. So once again, if you use coupon code Featured Anime at checkout, along with our affiliate link, you get $5 off that very first box. And now, on to the main show. And of course, also our own merch store at shop.featuredanimepodcast.com. Get yourself some of that swanky swag and help support us like that. And of course, all this information and everything is available on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. And now, on to the meat and potatoes. Witch Hunter Robin came out in July 2002 and aired all the way through December 2002. A couple producers for it are Bandai Visual, AMX, and Victor Entertainment. And the studio for it was Sunrise. The genres are occult, mystery, supernatural, and thriller, and it is an original anime that is 26 episodes long. Now, in the future, there is a organization called Solomon, and this is going to focus more on the STNJ or Solomon Japan division, and their primary purpose is to track and neutralize witches. Basically, these are individuals with genetics predisposing them to being able to use powers beyond their normal means. Some of them are actually pretty violent in nature. However, this anime focuses on a particular witch or craft user, if they're working for Solomon, named Robin. Now, she is a pyrokinetic witch, and she is dispatched to go to the SCNJ and help them find and hunt rogue witches. Basically, these witches that have been doing some pretty horrible and nasty stuff, breaking the laws and everything else. As the story progresses, you start uncovering more about not only about Robin, but about Solomon and the organization, as well as what the STNJ typically does when they're hunting these witches. Now, I've actually seen this several times. I first saw it many years ago when it was first coming out, actually, if I remember correctly. And it was really, in my first initial impressions, very good from what I remembered. So I came into this with some basically rose-colored goggles. But as I was watching this, honestly, it was, for me, a memory that was better left in the past. Now, not to say that this anime is bad. It is actually really good. It has a lot of key characters and key components for this. The writing for this is actually very solid. And if you actually liked Ergo Proxy, then you would actually like this, because there is a lot of similarities between this and Ergo Proxy. The art style, the animation, the story is kind of similar a little bit. And it definitely kind of dives into the more occult and mystery aspect of things. Now, one of the things about this anime is when you're in the world or out in the hustling, bustling town, or every time they show something that was going on in the city or anything else, it was not busy. It was actually very dead. There wasn't a lot of background characters. There weren't a lot of motions. Basically, if they showed someone there, they were a part of the scene. Like, you didn't really see anyone outside of the core individuals or the core people. So people walking around the streets, non-existent. You saw cars, but you never saw people in them. You never actually saw people walking around, going to stores or anything like that. It was very, in my personal opinion, very dead. So it really focused on you only seeing the characters, only seeing people that they actively dealt with or actively talked or were going to end up being a focal point of some kind. Very rarely did you actually see people that were outside of that. And the only time you actually ever see when there's a bunch of other people around is when it was story relevant. And I point this out because in one point of the story, when they're hunting a witch, and they don't always get them all, but when they're hunting one of these witches, they're finding out that, the only way this witch even uses their powers is it causes fear and them to be terrified, and these people freak out and then run away. And the only trace that they have of them even being around is everyone just happened to smell sweet olives or whatever it is. And that's it. It's like they only do that to draw attention away from themselves so that way they can move on with their lives. But other than that, you don't really see other people. You'll see someone else come into the picture, and it's because they're going to die, or they're going to be a witch, or they're a very specific plot driving individual. And So I felt like there could have been more done to make it feel lively, to make it feel like there was more there, to make it feel like the whole area was very a hustle and bustle, and it really wasn't. And even at times when they said, "Oh, things are really busy," it's like it really did not look busy. It looked crazy dead. It looked really dead. So it didn't help lend cadence to it. Now, Robin is not the only main character. She is the only one that is brought in later on at times. And then you have Amon, who is this older hunter. He's very stoic, very dark. He's I feel like he wants to give off this impression of I'm Batman, but he's really not, type of thing. And along with these other characters. Now, the other characters that you interact with, you have Miho, Dojima, Haruto. They're all there and they serve their purpose. Some of them are kind of like, why are you doing this? Or you're trying too hard, or they wrote the character bad for it. And then some of them, it kind of makes sense, but they don't give any real details for it. Right? They kind of surface level for it, but then when something else comes up, it's like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. And one of the characters that you also meet is Michael, and he's got a mullet. He's a kid. He's got a mullet. He's a hacker that got caught, and now he's very prideful in what he does when he's basically forced slave labor for the STNJ at the exact same time, which really doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever. And then you have Zaizen, who is the administrator of it all, who's basically this, you can tell from just meeting him, he is not a good guy. You can tell he is a bad guy right at the very beginning. And it does not really surprise you when certain events happen. Now, one of the first meetings that we have for Robin too, is we're told, it's like, oh, she's 15, but she's a master hunter. She's really great at this. She is this, she is that. She's super gifted. She's blah, 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 blah. And within the first 30 seconds of you meeting her, of you seeing her, how she interacts and reacts to certain things, it's like, well, I mean, like, this basically just contradicts everything that you were just talking about. She is most assuredly not a master. She is most assuredly just a rookie. She's basically fresh off the bus, know nothing, just whatever. And everyone just really kind of says, oh, she's this, but she's really not that. And then she's been using her powers this whole time, and Solomon knows about this and all this other stuff, but no one knows that she has to wear glasses to make it so that she has 100% accuracy. And Amon basically within 30 seconds goes, you have to wear glasses to make you accurate. And it just, there's a lot of plot holes, a lot of issues with the anime that just kind of get strung throughout. The dialogue or the character interactions just feel really bad or shaky. There's a lot of dead space or dead air in between discussions or happenings. There's a lot of points where you're watching it and you can't help but go, is the scene almost over? Is this episode almost over? And then you realize it's not. It's really not almost over. And that I would have to say that's kind of one of the things that's really kind of bugged me about it watching it this most recent time, is that when I was watching it, there was a lot of points where it just felt like it was dragging and it did not lend any appreciation at all to anything else. Like, you could have filled it in with some really catchy scenes or something to help kind of drive the plot along, and instead you would have these long awkward silences that serve no real purpose. You have a picture of a guy, you can tell after the first time you see him, he's just sitting there waiting for something to happen so he knows. And you just keep going back to the same guy, and he's just coughing, and he's just almost 10 minutes of just seeing this one guy cough clipped in throughout every single time, just to show you that he is still sitting there. It's like, you don't need to show me this. You don't need to show me that the guy is still sitting there all the way through. And it just made it that much worse, in my personal opinion. Now, I know that I am probably in the minority for this, being that when I first watched it, I loved it. I thought it was really great. I know that a lot of people applauded Witch Hunter Robin for its more mature kind of narrative gothic style, like Ergo Proxy. The opening and ending soundtrack were very unique and very, very edgy, I feel like, at the time. But the music for it, listening to it now, it just really wasn't. And I would be lying if I said I did not like the opening music. I did still, even today, but it was not something that I would say, oh, this is for sure something everyone must see. This is something that everyone has to see, because this, in all honesty, if you did not grow up in the era, if you did not watch this when it was coming out way back in the day, back in 2002, when it was first airing, this was not a show to watch. This was certainly not a show that you had to binge today. This was something that you had to watch when it was coming out, when it was on the cutting edge, because there's certain points or certain aspects of this happening, and it was just very edgy. It was very very out there, just really out of the norm for it. But it really today is not so much. And I know that again, I am probably in the minority, because a lot of people are going to look at this and they go, man, this is great world building. The stories are great. The animation is just top notch. It's the storyline's really gripping and everything else. But it's every episode's like, oh, here's a new bad guy of the week. Here's our new baddie of the week. Let's go out and get him. And it doesn't serve a real purpose. Now, it builds on it. You get some character building for it, but you don't really see much personal growth. And then they introduce certain things, and then they kind of glance it over, or it's a big reveal and it's not really that big of a reveal, or you're just kind of going. I feel like for this anime, you just kind of go through the motions. This is not something that I feel like you have to truly watch, and it should not be. If you want to watch it, for sure, go ahead. But if you feel like you're missing out by not seeing it, you really, in my personal opinion, are not too much. And I was talking to Rick too earlier last week about this show when we were watching it and everything. He goes, honestly, I had this playing on my phone. I had it playing on the TV. And during the dead air scenes for 2 episodes, I was like, oh, dead scene, look up. Oh, look, there's no longer dead scene. I'm catching up what's going on. Then dead scene, go back to my phone. And he kept swapping in between the two. He's like, this is not one this is one that you can easily multitask, is what he said. And honestly, I could see that. I don't know if he watched all of them like that, or if he just watched a few episodes like that, but this is one that is also not rememberable, because he and I actually had seen this a long time ago, and he had forgotten all about it. He had not remembered this one at all. And I did. I remember, because I've seen it a couple times since it came out. Saw it again later on down the line. It was, I think the last time I saw this was like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, probably, almost. And just watching it now, I would have to say, honestly, this is kind of one that I feel like was better left in my memory, that I didn't go and revisit it. For Sunrise, the studio Sunrise, who is known for like the Visions of Escaflowne, Code Geass, Cowboy Bebop, which I absolutely love. This is not one that I really want to try and mentally associate with for Sunrise, because this, in my opinion, is not long lasting. And the ones that I have seen from Sunrise, the ones that I remember anyways, are very long lasting, very time endearing shows. That is not to say this is not for everyone. I know Jeb absolutely loves it. It's one of his top anime he's ever seen, and he loves it, which is why he recommended it to us to watch. But for me, it's not quite up there. That is not to say there aren't good aspects of it. I will say that for the kind of the positive aspects of it, the characters do maintain their status quo on the most part. And when it comes to a point where the rubber meets the road and the characters really kind of need to come through at certain points, they do. And in the end, they really come through. They don't disappoint when it matters most the second time. The first time, all hell goes loose. Like in one episode, Solomon, the main headquarters, storms the STNJ because they're having this internal struggle and dispute, and they're shooting everyone with their guns. And it's like, well, it looks like there's a lot of blood and guts. There's a lot of blood and damage going on there. It looks like straight up people just got shot through the arm and everything else. And it's like, oh, no, pretty minimal. Like one person broke a leg and that was it because they were using plastic bullets. It's literally what they said. It's like, well, I mean, I don't really see someone like how the animation portrayed what was happening. Didn't really fit, but whatever. I mean, who am I to question it, right? But they do in the end ultimately like come in and just take care of everything at the very end. They're like, we're all in this together. We're going to do this. We just need to fight the injustice that is the main baddie of the show, and they go to it. They actually are willing to do something. They don't care what Solomon ultimately wants. They don't care what other people wants. This little group of individuals ultimately go, this is what we are doing. Now there are certain points in the show where they try to introduce a kind of comedic element, and they do this kind of haphazardly throughout the entire show. But even all the way up to the very end, it just kind of fell flat. And as for the ending, it was completely open. There was absolutely no real ending. They kind of insinuate, they don't show, they just kind of insinuate, but you're not explicitly told. It's just kind of like, really, what kind of ending is this? And then they don't even end it on the main characters, the main person that they've been focusing on the whole time. They ended it on with someone else that, in my honest opinion, just kind of is there and doesn't matter. I don't know. It was a good show for a nice rewatch. It was something that I feel like I would have been better left in my memory, and rather than revisiting it. So, yeah, unfortunately that's what I've got. So in terms of, rating for this one, me personally, I'm going to go with 4. And I know people are probably not going to be happy with that, but honestly, in my honest opinion, it was really hard to get through. It was hard for me to get through this. I found myself kind of passing out through some of the episodes. It was dragging, in my personal opinion. This would be one, if I wanted to fall asleep and I was having trouble falling asleep, I'd probably put this on, because it's one I know I can watch and know I will probably knocked out because of how slow it is, in my personal opinion. So, next week's choice, it's going to be Farming Life in Another World. And this was also another recommendation by Jeb. Thank you, Farmer Jeb, for the wonderful recommendation. Now, how we are choosing these recommendations, when someone submits a recommendation through our website, we have a random picker that randomly chooses these animes out of that entire list. And that's what we end up watching, unless, one of us feels like we have to watch something in particular. So go ahead, give us a recommendation and let us know what you thought of this week's choice. All the contact information and everything else is available to you in the show notes. Don't forget to leave us a rating on all your preferred platforms. And also come check us out and hang out with us on Discord as well. I'm always in there. We're talking and chatting and having fun. And until next time, I'm Jack, and we'll see you later.